Hi everyone, it's Stephen Ferris here, and we're usually going to talk about rugby, but this week we're going to talk about golf. It's the build-up, of course, in association with Ladbrokes. I'm delighted to be joined by a professional golfer. Of course, he's won a couple of really good titles in his career so far, and hopefully he's going to reach the dizzy heights of Rory McIlroy in the coming years. It's James Sugrue. How are you? How are you keeping?
Good, Stevie. Very good. Thanks for having me on.
No bother at all. Just quickly, tell us where you're at. You're obviously on tour at the minute, traveling away from home. Whereabouts in the world are you?
So this week I am in Czech Republic, just in Cascada Golf Resort, kind of 25-30 minutes outside the city of Brno, playing Challenge Tour. So yeah, it's a lovely part of the world, lovely golf course. Starting tomorrow, 7:40 tee time, so up bright and early.
Happy days. The Challenge Tour. I played golf with young Tom McKibben there a number of months ago, and I know he's playing some of the Challenge Tour events as well. He said it's just so competitive, so many really good players that you just need a little bit of luck here and there to make it onto the European Tour and obviously the PGA. But would you agree with that and coincide that it's
100%. 100%, Steve. Tom is playing this week as well. I was chatting to him yesterday. So yeah, like there's so many good players I think it's goes, throughout all tours, even below Challenge Tour, like there's Alps Tour, Euro Pro, it's just stacked with so much talent and so many good players. And as you said, you just need a little bit of rub of the green, as they say, on your week. But yeah, no, there's a lot of good players out here. But Ireland also has a lot of good players, so we're all well able to compete on our day out here.
Well, we wish you the best of luck this week on the tour. Hopefully it goes well. Just to turn back the clock a little bit, I know we're going to be talking about the US Open. You've obviously played in the US Open. How did you do that? You got on to that by winning the 2019 Amateur Championship at Portmarnock. How big a step was that in your career to win such an established competition, which then was a springboard to move into, Open Championships?
Yeah, like I suppose in amateur golf, there's the two biggest kind of ones are the amateur and US Amateur, and both prizes are pretty much the same. You get into 3 majors and a couple of more events. So yeah, just to win that and be rubbing shoulders and majors with the best players in the world was kind of surreal at the time. And looking back, and it's something that I look back on forever, and just it will always be unbelievable, an unreal experience those weeks.
In 2020, you played in the US Open, is that right?
Yeah, correct.
And who did you tee it up with? Was Bubba Watson one of your playing partners?
Yeah, so I played with Bubba Watson and Lee Westwood, which was a great group. Yeah. That same day, the two of them played really well. Lee, I'm going to say after day one, he was coming maybe second.
Okay.
And yeah, he was like a robot. Like that day, it was just unbelievable golf. Just same thing every time. So yeah, it was unreal. And in Wingfoot was, I remember the 10th is a par 3, and behind the green, an Irish guy owns the house, so there was a big Irish flag like outside, and he knew when I was coming around, and he was roaring at me and things like that. So it was an amazing experience.
Tell me this: how far does Bubba Watson hit it when he wants to go after it? Is it ridiculous, or are you only 10 or 15 behind him?
It's more the way he shapes it is more impressive, I think. Like some of the places that he was aiming to hit the ball in the fairway was just bizarre. Hitting these big banana slices and then hitting a draw. He's a real artist of the game. And his caddy at the time, Teddy Scott, his fitness coach is a guy called Mike Carroll in Fit for Golf, and who's a Cork man as well. So on the first hole, Teddy turns to me and says, who's better at hurling? Mallow, which is my hometown, or Mourneabbey, which is like the next parish over. And it was just I didn't know that him and Mike were friends. So yeah, that was a nice. He eased me into it. He eased me into it nicely.
Oh, class! And like the boys are obviously teeing it up this week. We've seen Rory McIlroy win there in Canada. You have teed it up. What's running through your mind like before you can go to the range? You can feel loose. You can feel great. Eating great food. You're at an amazing venue. But what's it like when you put the peg in on the first hole and you actually have to focus really hard and knock it down the middle? Is it just all the prep that you've done over the last 20 years, or does your mind start to wander about bad shots? Like, obviously these lads are seasoned pros, but obviously surely you feel some of the nerves.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even when I played the Open Championship, I teed off first with Darren Clarke in Portrush.
Yeah.
And all week I was just telling my coach like that I'm going to hit driver on the first, and he wasn't too kind of keen on it. It probably wasn't a driver, but I just wanted the biggest head on the first tee.
That's the way I think every round.
Yeah. And I said it to Darren walking off the first, and I was like, "Did you turn there at all?" And he was like, "No, I just wanted the biggest head in my hand on that first tee." So then that he was thinking that kind of put me a bit at ease, that even the best players in the world do get nervous. Like everyone gets nervous. Even a podcast there I listened to recently, it's called the Performers Podcast. Your man put it in a good way. He's like, pressure and like nervous, that's the price of entry. Like that's the price you pay to be there. So everyone experiences it. It's just and if you're trying to get rid of it, if you're kind of trying to tell yourself, oh, this isn't happening, that's when you're kind of losing. You just have to accept the fact that you are nervous, that you've never been here before. This is a new environment, and just go out and try and do your best.
And did you say you hit driver off the first of Portrush?
Yeah.
And where did you hit it? Obviously, because
I hit it down the middle.
And he absolutely launched one, didn't he, over the right-hand bunker?
Yeah. I hit it down the middle, thankfully. Yeah, no,
class.
It went straight down the middle, thankfully. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's a bloody tough hole, as Rory McIlroy will tell you. Touching on players this week into the US Open, who's coming in on form? Obviously, Rory McIlroy is one of the hot favourites. He is the favourite at 10-1 to win this Open. But is there somebody that you think every single week, geez, Mr. Consistent, or he always performs well at US Opens, or the greens this week are going to suit somebody in particular? Looking from the outside in, is there any information that would sway me and put a few quid on a player?
I suppose, from everything you just mentioned there's one player that kind of ticks a lot of those boxes for me. Obviously, Rory is, if he plays well, he wins. I think like he's just so good, best player in the world in my opinion. But I think Matt Fitzpatrick, he won a US Amateur around that course, so he's going to have great memories of that place. It's like USAM, huge tournament, super consistent. US Open, you're going to have a lot of 10-foot and in puts for probably a lot of the time might be for par. He's putting is super good.
Yeah.
So maybe someone at a bigger price, maybe like Justin Rose. I don't know what price he is, but I'd be guessing around 50s or something like that. Played like, I think, did he bogey the last week to shoot 60? So he's also playing well. Obviously, I'm hoping for any of the Irish guys to do well. But yeah, I think Matt Fitzpatrick, he's gonna, obviously Justin Rose as well, former US Open champion. He's going to be a bit of a celebrity there this week. He's going to love it. But I think I'm going to go for Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Matthew Fitzpatrick. Obviously, I watch a lot of golf, and he uses a 12-degree driver, and he still keeps it quite low. He doesn't hit it massively far, but he just seems to be very, very straight. like ridiculously straight, and I'd take that any day rather than spraying it all over the place. But yeah, he is Mr. Consistent, a bit like Westwood when he's in the groove, as you mentioned. Is there any other really long shots that could possibly be in with a chance?
I saw that. I know it's not an incredibly long shot, but I saw DJ was 40-1. I thought that was a bit generous. Also Patrick Cantley, I think he's like high 20s, which I thought was very generous for Patrick Cantley, a player of his caliber. Anything outside Justin Rose at 50, I'd be staying away from.
And what about Shane? What about Shane Lowry? Just to touch on
Shane, yeah,
the Irish. It's not due to be windy, is it?
Absolutely. Shane is like, he's just around the greens. I think around the greens, he's probably the best player in the world. I remember I played with him in practice round for Port Rush. Like, he just throw balls down at the edge of every green and just hit like the filthiest chips you'll ever see. You know, they were just incredible. He and also in brilliant form. So I've named half the field there now, but I think I would. I'm hoping that Shane has a brilliant week, because I do love Shane. I think he's a class player, and you know, he's one of the best players in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, he's a top lad as well. My pick is Cameron Smith. I know anybody who I interview about golf is sick of me talking about Cameron Smith, but Cameron Smith's 20-1. Matthew Fitzpatrick, you mentioned, is 25-1 on Ladbrokes. Jordan Spieth, he hasn't been talked about much. We all know how he can pitch up on the big occasion. He's 25-1. But just last word on Rory McIlroy. I'll not keep you any longer. 10-1 to win this US Open, and I suppose that's all off the back of his Canadian victory there last week, where he, you know, that tussle between him, Justin Thomas, Tony Finau, Justin Rose, who came from the back of the pack. It was gripping viewing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was unbelievable, really. Yeah, that's why I think Rory is just the best player in the world. You know, he shot, what was it, 62 final round, finished birdie to win by 2. Yeah, like, there's not many in the world that could do that under that pressure on Sunday, final group. You know, who else would you look? You wouldn't really look too far past Rory.
No, definitely not. Well, here, we'll not keep you any longer, James. Thanks very much for taking the time to speak with us today on the build-up. Of course, if anybody is having a bet this week on the US Open, please gamble responsibly, and look at all the T's and C's, small print, on ladbrokes.com for any more information. From Stephen Ferris, from James Sugrue, we'll see you again, and best luck this week, James.
Cheers, Steve. Thank you.